Hello. I've been reading my Bible this morning and thinking. And the passage that I've been reading is in Luke's Gospel. That's in the second half of the Bible, in what we call the New Testament, which is about Jesus. Luke's Gospel, chapter 12. And Jesus is teaching his disciples, and he says, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothing." Well, my first thought is, do not worry is easy to say. It's perhaps not so easy to follow. But I think Jesus there is picking up on something very human. Obviously, he was aware of at the time, and I think that it's something that we worry about now. Do not worry about what you wear. Don't worry about what you look like, how you are perceived by others, how you come across. Because I think that's something that we worry about, particularly in this image-conscious world that we now live in. And it picks up a theme from the very, very beginning of the Bible, right at the beginning of the book of Genesis, the first book in the Bible, when Adam and Eve were walking in the garden and were persuaded by the serpent to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which God had told them not to touch. And as soon as they ate the fruit, they realized that they were naked. They felt exposed, and they felt shame, and they rushed off to sew together fig leaves to cover themselves up before God made them garments out of animal skins a little later on. We worry about how others see us. And perhaps as Christians, we worry especially that others will see us as rigid or strange or just different, and we will have trouble making friends or fitting in because of our faith. But when Jesus spoke to his disciples, he said, "Do not worry. Do not worry." And he talks about the birds of the air and the flowers of the field. He says they don't worry about what they have to eat, or they don't worry about how they look. He says, "And can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your span of life?" Well, no. In fact, that phrase can be translated, "Can any of you add a foot to your height by worrying?" For those of us who wish we were taller, it's a sobering reminder that by worrying we can achieve nothing. But Jesus goes on to comfort us. "Do not worry," he says. "Do not be afraid, little flock, for it's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Do not keep striving, for it is the nations of the world that strive after all these things, and your Father knows that you need them. Instead, strive for his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well." In other words, don't worry about what we're going to eat or when we're going to eat or how we're going to eat. And don't worry about how we are perceived. Don't worry that we might lose friendships, because God knows that we need to have friendships, and he will add to us friendships that will be productive and nourishing and encouraging and supportive. God knows these things before we even ask them. In our last little talk, the last time I spoke to you, I said to you that you are the light of the world, that you are the salt of the earth. But light that doesn't light up darkness is no use at all. And salt that loses its saltiness, Jesus says, is only good to be thrown away. We are to be visible, and we are not to worry, because God knows our fears. And he has already found ways to support us and encourage us. So do not worry about how others perceive you. As we begin to enter the world again, perhaps filled with a passion to change the world that we're in, don't worry, because God knows what we want. but put his kingdom first. Worry about the things of the kingdom. Work towards being more like Jesus. And the things that we need, God will add to us as well. Keep safe.